The warning in the stars. The galaxy was wide and endless, but in that endless sea of stars, there was one place every species whispered about with fear. It was human space, and no one dared to cross it. Stories spread from one trade port to another, told by trembling voices and hushed tones. Some said that alien fleets entered human borders and never came back. Others claimed that strange signals filled their ships, driving their crews to madness, to the galaxy's great empires. Humans were not just another rising species. They were a shadow in the dark, silent, patient, and dangerous. On the council station of Vera Prime, leaders from many species gathered. The hall was filled with voices, buzzing like angry insects. Some wanted trade routes opened near human borders. Some wanted to send fleets to claim the empty stars, but others shook their heads and warned against it. An old Xerac ambassador rose from his seat, his scales glowing faintly under the lights. His voice was slow, heavy with memory. "I have seen their border," he said. "I was there when a proud fleet of the Drax Empire entered, 50 ships strong, armed with plasma cannons and shields that could hold back suns. We thought they would crush humanity, but..." He paused, his eyes darkening. None of them returned, not one. The room grew silent. Even the young warriors who had laughed at the stories now lowered their heads. Fear had settled into their bones. Yet not everyone was convinced. Captain Rahl of the Vorn species stood tall, his crest bristling with pride. "Old tales," he spat. "Fear made from rumors. Humanity is small, scattered, weak. If they destroyed the Drax fleet, where are the wrecks? Where is the proof? I will find it. I will enter their space. And I will show the galaxy that humans are nothing but a myth of fear." His words echoed through the chamber. Some nodded in agreement, others turned away. The old ambassador only whispered, "Fool." Later, in the deep silence of his ship, the Stormbreaker, Captain Rahl stared at the stars ahead. His crew shifted uneasily. They had all heard the stories too. Every one of them knew that human space was cursed, yet none dared to speak against their captain. As the ship prepared to move, one of his crew, a young pilot named Vera, broke the silence. Her voice shook. "Captain, I was born on the edge of their border. I have heard the signals. They are not lies. Sometimes at night you hear voices through the static, voices that do not belong to humans or to any species we know." The captain glared, but for a brief moment, doubt flickered in his eyes. He quickly pushed it away. "Voices or ghosts, it matters not," he said. "We will find the truth." The Stormbreaker turned its engines toward the black stretch of stars that marked human territory. The border was unguarded, or so it seemed. No fleets, no stations, nothing but silence, but that silence was heavier than any army. It pressed against the crew's hearts, making them breathe faster. As they crossed the invisible line, the ship's sensors flickered. Strange signals rippled across their screens, coded messages in ancient languages. Some words were clear, sharp as a blade. "Leave, turn back. This is not your place." The pilot gasped. "They know we are here." Her hands trembled on the controls. The crew looked at their captain, waiting, but he only tightened his grip on the chair. "Ignore it," he ordered. "It is nothing but tricks." But deep in the shadows of space, something watched. The Stormbreaker could not see it, but every sensor felt it. A shape hidden, a presence vast and quiet, waiting. The galaxy feared human space for a reason, and now Captain Rahl's crew was about to learn why. The stars around them seemed the same as before, but to the crew they no longer shone with peace. They shone with warning, a silent warning written across the endless night. And as the first human signal whispered again, "Colder than ice," the pilot whispered back to herself, "The galaxy was right, this place is death. The forbidden border." The Stormbreaker drifted deeper into the black sea of human space. Every star seemed colder here, every shadow stretched too long. The crew said nothing, their eyes glued to the flickering screens, waiting for something, anything to happen. Captain Rahl sat stiff in his command chair, his pride forcing him forward even as unease clawed at his mind. He wanted proof, wreckage, signs of weakness, something to take back to the council and silence the old voices of fear. Suddenly, The sensors beeped. The crew leaned in. The screen showed massive shapes ahead. At first they thought they were asteroids, but the shapes were too clean, too sharp. Ships, the pilot whispered. Her voice cracked. Dead ships. Dozens of hulks floated in the void, some broken in half, others burned down to their frames. They were not human ships. The markings were clear. Fleets from the Drax, the Kyr, even the proud Xanthi Armada, all drifting here, silent tombs in the dark. The crew froze, the warning from the old ambassador echoing in their ears. None of them returned. Now they saw why, but Captain Rahl forced a grin. Wrecks mean battles, he said. Battles mean humans bleed like anyone else. We are not the first to step here. We will not be the last. His words were strong, but his hands trembled as he tightened his grip on the console. The ship passed between the wrecks. The broken metal groaned as if it still carried echoes of war. A drifting Xanthi cruiser scraped against the Stormbreaker's hull, the sound like a scream through the void. Then the sensors flashed again. A signal burst through the silence. Old, broken, but clear enough. Turn back, it said. You are not welcome. The crew gasped. Their eyes darted around, searching for the source, but no ship appeared. No station, no fleet, only the wrecks and the silence, Captain. The pilot whispered. It is them. They are watching us. The captain's pride clashed with the fear clawing at his crew. He slammed his fist on the console. Ignore it, he ordered. They want us to be afraid. I will not give them that victory. But deep inside, his heart raced. For every second they stayed, the silence grew heavier, pressing on his chest like unseen hands. As the ship moved further, the stars shifted strangely. The navigator frowned. Captain, he said, the maps are wrong. The constellations are twisting. It is as if the stars themselves are moving. Then the pilot screamed, Contact! A massive shape appeared on the edge of their vision, blacker than space. A ship. No, a fortress. Vast and silent. Hidden until now. Its surface gleamed faintly with strange light as if absorbing the starlight around it. The Stormbreaker's alarms screamed. Energy readings spiked beyond anything the crew had ever seen. Weapons, shields, reactors, all far beyond their understanding. The crew stared in horror. That cannot be real, someone whispered. No species builds like that. But the fortress did not move. It only watched. And then, as suddenly as it appeared, a single human voice echoed through their comms. Calm, steady, almost gentle. You should not be here. The crew shivered. The voice was not angry, not loud, but it carried a weight that shook them more than any threat. The captain forced himself to answer. His voice cracked. We mean no harm. We seek only knowledge. There was silence, long and endless. Then the human voice replied, softer still. Knowledge carries a price. Leave while you can. And with that, the signal cut. The fortress remained, looming, watching, but it did not attack. The crew turned to their captain. Their eyes begged him, pleaded with him. Some whispered, prayers in their own languages. Captain Rahl's pride burned, but for the first time in his life he felt very small, smaller than he had ever thought possible. The Stormbreaker hovered at the forbidden border, caught between pride and survival, and all around them the stars glowed with silent warning. The crew did not know it yet, but the real secret of human space had only just begun to reveal itself. Shadows of the past. The Stormbreaker drifted near the shadow of the great human fortress. Its black walls swallowed starlight, leaving the crew in a sea of endless night. Nobody spoke. Every voice had been stolen by fear. Then, the sensors lit. Again, not with weapons, but with data streams. Broken fragments of records poured across the screens, alien symbols mixed with human code. The pilot gasped. Captain, these are logs from the wrecked fleets. The crew gathered around, trembling. The logs showed battles fought long ago, fleets charging into human space with pride and arrogance, human ships smaller, weaker, outnumbered, yet every time the same thing happened. The invaders fired first and the humans answered. The recordings blurred with static. but pieces remained clear enough to chill every heart. A Drax warlord shouting, "Crush them!" followed by screams as his fleet turned to fire and ash, a Xanthi admiral laughing, calling humans primitive, before her flagship was split in half. By beams of impossible precision, the crew saw not victory but punishment. The humans never chased, never invaded. They only defended, and in every defense, the attackers were broken. One young crew member whispered, "They never strike first." His voice shook. But they never lose when others strike them. The logs continued, showing alien faces twisted in fear, desperate calls for retreat. None were answered, because the humans never allowed escape. It was not cruelty. It was warning. A lesson. Carved into the stars, Captain Rahl clenched his fists. His pride cracked like glass under the weight of truth. He wanted to deny it, to call it lies, but the voices, the faces, the fire, all too real. Then the screen shifted again. A new image appeared. A human figure, not live, but a recording. The figure stood tall in a simple uniform, eyes cold as deep space. His voice was calm, steady. "To those who trespass, this is your fate. We do not seek war, we do not seek conquest. But if you come, with fire you will find only ashes." The recording ended, silence swallowing the ship again. The crew stood frozen, their hearts pounding. They finally understood what the galaxy feared. The pilot turned to her captain. "This is not myth, it is truth. The galaxy does not lie. The shadows are filled with the screams of those who thought as you did." For a moment, Captain Rahl said nothing. His pride battled against the storm of fear inside him. But then he lifted his chin, forcing strength into his voice. "If they are so powerful, why do they hide? Why leave their borders unguarded? Why let fear spread instead of showing themselves?" His words shook, even as he tried to sound strong. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. They had no answer, and deep down, neither did he. Suddenly the fortress stirred. Its silent hull glowed, faintly, and then vanished into the dark like it had never existed. The ship's sensors went blank. Every trace of the massive structure was gone. The crew gasped in horror. "How?" the navigator stammered. "How can something so large vanish?" Before the captain could answer, the ship's comms came alive. Again, this time not a single voice but many, overlapping, whispering in strange tones, old languages, forgotten cries. The words cut through the static. "We are watching. We always watch." The crew panicked. Some covered their ears, others shouted in fear. The voices sounded like echoes from the wrecks themselves, like the shadows of the dead still speaking. Captain Rahl rose, his hands shaking, his voice cracked. "Silence the channel." But no one moved, they were too terrified. And then, just as quickly as it began, the voices ended. The screens went dark. The ship floated in silence once more. The pilot whispered almost to herself, "They are not hiding, Captain. They are waiting. And the shadows of the past are their warning." The captain's eyes narrowed, his pride wounded, but his fear undeniable. For the first time, he wondered if his journey had not uncovered weakness, but a truth far more dangerous than myth. As the stormbreaker drifted deeper, the wrecks behind them seemed to close in, like a graveyard gate shutting tight, sealing them inside. And every crew member felt it in their bones. The shadows of the past were not just history. They were the first step into something far worse. The first encounter. The stormbreaker pushed deeper into human space. The wrecks faded behind them, but the silence grew heavier, pressing on the crew like an invisible weight. Every breath felt too loud, every heartbeat a drum in the stillness. The crew whispered among themselves, afraid to raise their voices. The pilot's hands shook on the controls. The navigator avoided the captain's eyes. Pride had carried them this far, but fear was now their shadow. Suddenly, the sensors lit up. A signal flashed across the screens, sharp, clean, alive. "Contact!" The pilot gasped. Her voice cracked. "Something is moving." Out of the dark came a shape. At first it looked small compared to the fortress they had seen, but as it drew closer, its presence filled the void. A single human ship, sleek, sharp, with armor that gleamed faintly like liquid steel. Its weapons were silent, but every system hummed with power. The crew froze, their hearts pounded as the comms crackled to life. A voice spoke, calm, steady, clear. Alien vessel. You have entered restricted territory. You are advised to turn back immediately. The crew looked at one another, their faces pale. Their captain forced himself to stand tall. He pressed the comm button, his voice shook, but he tried to sound strong. We mean no harm. We seek only knowledge. There was silence. Then the human voice replied, knowledge is not free. Knowledge carries weight, and weight can crush those unprepared. The words sent chills through the crew. They were not shouted, not threatening, but the calmness carried more danger than any scream. The captain swallowed. His pride wavered, but he pushed forward. We only wish to understand why no one returns. The galaxy tells stories. We want the truth. Again, silence. The human ship drifted closer, its hull reflecting the starlight, its weapons still cold but ready. Then the voice returned, softer. The truth is simple. Those who came before you sought war. They found it. We do not seek war. We do not cross borders, but we do not forgive intrusion. The crew shivered. Every word cut like a blade. Their captain stood frozen, torn between pride and fear. Then the human voice changed, lower, darker. You are on the edge. One more step, and you will not return. The crew gasped. The pilot turned to the captain, her eyes wide with terror. We cannot go further, Captain. This is not a bluff. They will end us. But the captain's pride still burned, his voice cracked. They only try to scare us. If they had the power, they would have destroyed us already. The human ship moved slightly closer. Not fast, not aggressive, but with a presence that made the Stormbreaker tremble. Its systems detected power beyond anything they had ever seen. A single ship, yet it felt like a fleet. The comms flickered again. We warned the Drax. We warned the Xanthi. We warned them all. None listened. Now they drift as shadows in our borders. Do not join them. The words struck the crew like thunder. Fear crushed them. Some whispered prayers. Others begged the captain with their eyes. And then, as if to prove the warning was not empty, the human ship powered its weapons for a single moment. Not fired, only charged. The energy reading spiked so high the Stormbreaker's alarm screamed. Shields strained, though no shot was fired. The crew staggered as if struck. The weapons powered down again, silence returning. The human voice spoke one last time, calm as before. This is your choice. Leave now and live. Stay and be forgotten. The comms went silent. The human ship hovered, waiting. The crew turned to their captain, their fear now stronger than loyalty. Their voices broke the silence. Captain, please, let us turn back, please. Captain Rawl's pride battled with the terror in his chest. He stared at the human ship, so calm, so unshaken, so utterly certain. His voice trembled. If we turn back, we prove them right. If we stay, we may never return. The ship drifted in the silence of human space, caught between arrogance and survival, and every crew member knew the next decision would decide whether they lived to see another star. The hidden weapon. The Stormbreaker floated in silence, the human ship still waiting like a predator in the dark. Its weapons were cold again, but the memory of their power lingered in every trembling breath of the crew. Captain Rawl stood rigid, his pride battling against fear. He looked at his officers, saw the terror in their eyes, and forced his voice to remain steady. We will go forward, he said. If we turn back now, the council will call us cowards. We must see the truth. The crew groaned. Some muttered prayers. Others clenched their fists. But none dared to refuse. The engines hummed. The Stormbreaker pushed past the human ship, expecting fire, expecting death. Yet none came. The human ship did not follow. It only lingered, silent, watching. The void grew darker. The stars seemed to fade as they traveled deeper. Then the sensors lit up again. Alarms blared. Captain, the navigator shouted. something massive ahead. The crew leaned forward, hearts pounding. Out of the darkness rose a shape unlike anything they had ever seen. A fortress vast beyond imagination, built inside the hollow of a dead star. Its walls stretched like mountains of black steel, glowing faintly with rivers of light. The fortress was alive. Every scanner screamed with power, weapons hidden deep within, reactors burning brighter than suns. The Stormbreaker trembled as if space itself bent around the fortress. The pilot gasped, her voice shaking. This is no station. This is a world of war. The screens flickered. Data poured in. Fragments of ancient battles stored in the fortress itself. Images of entire fleets erased in minutes. Empires crushed before they could understand what they had awakened. The fortress did not speak. It did not move. Yet its silence shouted louder than any weapon. Captain Rawl stared in awe. His pride finally cracked. By the stars, he whispered. One fortress did all this. The log showed something even more terrifying. This was not humanity's greatest weapon. It was only one of many. Humans had built them during a forgotten age of war, hidden across their borders, waiting, silent, guardians in the void. The crew trembled. One officer whispered, "No wonder the galaxy fears them. No wonder no one returns. How can anyone fight this?" The captain swallowed hard, his voice thin. "We cannot tell the council. They will panic. They will want to strike first and it will destroy them." Suddenly the fortress stirred. A single beam of light shot across the darkness. It was not an attack. It was a message. The comms came alive. A human voice, deep and calm, filled the ship. "You should not have come this far." The captain fell silent, his mouth dry. The voice continued. "This fortress is not a weapon of conquest. It is a reminder. We do not seek war, but if war comes, we do not lose." The words cut into every heart, simple yet absolute. The crew bowed their heads, fear and respect mixing inside them. Then the fortress dimmed, its great walls fading back into the shadow of the dead star. The comms went silent. The message ended. The Stormbreaker floated in the void, its crew too shaken to breathe, too afraid to speak. Captain Rawl's pride was gone, replaced by something heavier, respect. He looked at his crew, their eyes wide with terror and awe. His voice cracked. "Now we understand. Now we know why the galaxy fears them." The fortress was gone, but its shadow remained in every soul aboard. For they had seen humanity's hidden weapon, and it was not just steel and fire, it was certainty. It was silence. It was the promise that no intruder would ever leave unscathed. And in that moment, the captain realized something far more terrifying than death. Humans did not need to shout their strength. The galaxy already carried the scars of their silence, the silent truth. The Stormbreaker lingered near the dead star, the memory of the fortress still burning in every mind. No one spoke. The silence was thick, heavier than steel. For the first time, Captain Rawl's voice trembled as he broke it. "We have seen enough. We must turn back." But before the pilot could answer, the comms crackled again. A new signal pulsed through the darkness. It was not a warning this time, it was an invitation. A human voice, steady and calm. "Stay a moment. You came seeking truth, you should understand it fully." The crew froze. Their eyes darted toward the captain. His jaw tightened. He wanted to refuse, but his pride and curiosity chained him. He gave a slow nod. "Open the channel." The screens lit up. A figure appeared not in flesh, but as a projection. A human, tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a simple uniform. His eyes were sharp, yet calm. The crew felt his presence press into their bones. "I am Commander Elias," the human said, his voice even, carrying weight like gravity. "You stand in our space. You wonder why no one dares to remain here." The crew held their breath. The captain forced himself to ask, "Yes, why? Why? Does the galaxy fear you? What secret do you keep?" The commander's eyes narrowed. His answer came slow, deliberate. "The galaxy fears us because we are not like them. Others fight for pride, for conquest, for resources. We fight only for survival. But when we fight, we do not stop, we do not bend, we do not lose. The words hit harder than any weapon. The crew shifted, their hands trembling. They had seen empires rise and fall, each broken by arrogance or greed. Yet here stood a species that turned survival into something unshakable. The commander continued. The wrecks you saw, the fleets you studied, they struck first. They crossed borders with fire and threats. We warned them. They ignored us. Their pride demanded war. Their pride buried them. The projection leaned closer, his eyes cold. Understand this. Humanity does not start wars, but when war comes. To us we end it. The pilot gasped, her voice soft. Then the galaxy was right. The fear is not stories, it is truth. The commander's expression did not change. Fear was not our design, it was their choice. We showed mercy once. We warned once. Always once. After that, we answered, and the stars remember. Captain Rahl's throat went dry. He wanted to speak, but no words came. The human's voice rolled on, calm but unyielding. Your kind believes strength is weapons, fleets, numbers, the commander said. But true strength is resolve. We do not measure battles in ships. We measure them in will. And our will does not break. The crew shivered. The weight of those words pressed into their hearts. This was the truth the galaxy feared. Not just weapons, not just fortresses, but a people who refused surrender, a people who fought until the last breath and somehow always stood again. The commander's image began to fade. His final words echoed. You came for knowledge. Now you have it. Leave this place. Tell your council. Tell them we are not their enemy. But if they come for us, they will never return. The screen went dark. Silence returned. But it was no longer empty. It was full, heavy with meaning. The crew sat frozen. Some wept quietly. Some prayed. Captain Rahl lowered his head. For the first time in his life, pride could not guide him. Only fear and respect remained, he whispered to himself, too soft for others to hear. This is why the galaxy fears them. Not because they kill, but because they cannot be broken. The Stormbreaker turned slowly, leaving the shadow of the dead star behind. The fortress no longer appeared. The human ship no longer followed. But the message burned in their souls, humanity's silent truth. The final choice. The Stormbreaker drifted away from the dead star, its engines humming softly. The crew sat in silence, none daring to speak. Each mind carried the same heavy truth. Humanity was not a myth. Humanity was not a rumor. Humanity was a force that could not be broken. Captain Rahl stared at the fading stars of human space. His pride was gone, replaced by something colder, heavier. He whispered under his breath, We came for proof. We found more than proof. We found warning. The crew turned their eyes toward him. Some looked relieved, others fearful. No one argued when the captain gave his next order. Set course back to the council. We will tell them what we saw. The ship's engines flared. Slowly the Stormbreaker crossed the borderline. The silence that had haunted them began to lift. But it left behind a shadow that would never fade. For days the crew said little. Their eyes were hollow, their hearts heavy. Each of them replayed the words of the human commander in their minds. We do not start wars, but when war comes, we end it. When at last they arrived at the council station on Vera Prime, the great hall filled again with voices. Leaders from many species gathered, eager for news. Some mocked, expecting the captain to tell of human weakness. Others leaned forward, hungry for tales of conquest. Captain Rahl walked to the center of the chamber. His crew followed, silent, pale. Their eyes told the truth before his words even began. The council members grew uneasy, their whispers fading. Rahl lifted his head, his voice cracked. We entered human space. The hall fell silent, every ear listening. We saw the wrecks of the Drax, the Kyr, the Xanthi. We saw the fortress that swallowed fleets whole. We spoke to them. Gasps filled the chamber, some leaders scoffed. Lies, they hissed, tricks. Others leaned closer, fear stirring in their eyes. Rahl slammed his hand against the podium. His voice stronger now. This is no lie. This is no trick. Humanity is real. They are silent, but they are watching. They are waiting, and they do not break. The hall erupted in chaos. Some shouted for war, demanding fleets to test the humans. Again, others begged for peace, crying that no empire could face such power. Rahl raised his voice above the noise. You want war, he roared. Then know this. If you step into their space, you will not return. If you strike them, you will fall. They warned us. They warned us all. The galaxy fears them because the galaxy remembers. The words struck. The chamber like thunder. Silence followed, cold and heavy. The counselors looked at each other, fear spreading across every face. The old Zyrak ambassador rose again, his voice soft yet carrying through the hall. I warned you once. Now you hear it from one who saw. Humanity is not a rumor. Humanity is a truth carved in the stars. Leave them be, or join the wrecks that drift in their dark. No one laughed now. No one mocked. The council chamber was filled with fear and silence. Captain Rahl left the hall with his crew, his heart still heavy. He had set out to prove that humanity was weak, but instead he had become the messenger of their strength. The galaxy had always whispered. Now the truth was spoken aloud. As the Stormbreaker prepared to depart again, the pilot whispered to herself, her voice trembling but certain. The galaxy will never dare cross their borders again, and if anyone forgets, the shadows of the wrecks will remind them. The stars glowed outside the viewport, endless and cold. Somewhere in that endless night, the humans waited, silent, unbroken, watching, and across the galaxy, fear turned into respect, respect into silence, silence into law. No species dared enter human space again, because now, they all knew why.